As people approach the end of their lives, they're often asked, what are your fondest memories, your greatest sorrows? Looking back, what would you say really matters in life? Few of these people mention work or school, money or achievements, but in the face of death, the overwhelming majority say relationships with loved ones are what matter most. Of course, with family and with friends, but especially significant others. This is what inspired me to become a relationship and sexuality educator. Across the world, no matter who you are or where you're from, the one thing we all have in common is a deep-rooted desire to love and to be loved. In fact, study after study shows that the quality of our intimate relationships has a profound impact, not only on our psychological health, but on our physical health as well. So, if we can all agree that love is what really matters, and we have the research to back it up, I'm curious. How many of you received any sort of formal education, training, or mentorship in romantic relationships and sex? Now, I'm not talking about the heart-to-hearts you had with your grandmother or the 2-week sex ed unit you had in health class. I'm talking specific, meaningful, ongoing education. Many of you can probably name the 16th president. Perhaps you recall that pi equals approximately 3.14. And perhaps you can even describe the stages of photosynthesis. But how many of you know what your partner's love language is? How many of you know that the way your parents treated you as an infant has shaped the way that you give and receive love as an adult? Raise your hand if you're aware that sex is not about sex. Probably not many, but wouldn't you like to know? Most of us learn about relationships through happenstance, right? We repeat patterns of our parents, we copy our friends, we believe the messages that society and religion tell us. And when it comes to learning about sex, we're even more clueless and conflicted. The birds and the bees talk that you may or may not have gotten as a child likely didn't answer the burning questions that keep you up at night. Luckily, there's Google. Let me ask you, would you hand a teenager the keys to your BMW if they'd never taken driver's ed? Would you hire a head chef at your brand new restaurant with no culinary training? Would you go under the knife with a surgeon who didn't have a medical degree? Why is it that we formally prepare our youth for practically everything they'll do in their life, except for the one thing that matters most? And then we wonder why divorce rates are so high. What if we as a society rearranged our priorities and made relationship and sex education mandatory, comprehensive, and lifelong? In the same way that we're required to take algebra and chemistry, I think that we deserve to learn the intricacies of how our minds and our hearts and our bodies work. Currently, less than half of US states mandate any sort of sex ed, and only a fraction of them incorporate relationship skills. I think, starting in preschool, we need age-appropriate curriculum that teaches kids self-awareness and interpersonal skills to nurture healthy friendships. And as they move through elementary and middle school, we can start introducing romance and sexuality, because remember, we have to reach them before they start experimenting. By the time they hit high school, we need full-blown curriculum, freshman through senior year, so that by the time they graduate, they actually know what to look for in a partner and how to be a good one themselves. I've been teaching college courses on these topics for many years, and every semester, my students walk away saying, "I wish I knew this stuff sooner." In addition to being mandatory, relationship and sex education has to be comprehensive. Rather than just telling kids what they need to know, we need to start asking them what they want to know. Of course, we'll cover the basics like anatomy and puberty, pregnancy and STIs, but what about the good stuff? You know, the relationship stuff, like attraction, flirtation, good communication skills, respect, trust, emotional intelligence, self-worth, jealousy, forgiveness. And as for sex, we can start with hugs and hand-holding, crushes and first kisses. And as they mature, fantasies, pornography, masturbation. We need to talk about pleasure and consent. And for the love of God, hygiene. In addition to being mandatory and comprehensive, relationship and sex education needs to be lifelong. Our relationships continue to evolve throughout life. And sometimes some of the most challenging circumstances don't come until after marriage, after babies, after jobs and illness and affairs. We need a safe place that we can go as adults to learn more, ask questions, bounce ideas off one another. I envision a variety of fun, informative workshops, retreats, brunch clubs, happy hours, all about love and sex, and led by relationship experts. They'd be affordable and accessible and offered throughout the country so couples could go as often as they like, but without the stigma of therapy, without the religious undertones of faith-based services, and without the political agendas of government programs. I really think young adults could benefit from learning about things like the power of gratitude, or how to fight fair, or what to do when you're attracted to someone besides your spouse. For middle adults, we could talk about co-parenting dynamics, work-life balance, or adjusting to empty nesting. For older adults, we could discuss retirement, or how to start over after a divorce or widowhood. And in late adulthood, maybe we could revisit those conversations about STIs. I mean, we've all heard about the fun they're having in those nursing homes. By the time couples seek therapy, much of the damage has been done. Let's not wait until things go wrong. Let's educate ourselves and encourage one another to build happy, healthy relationships from the start and then nurture them throughout life. Because at the end of the day, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. Thank you.